Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, the birthplace of Congregational Humanism. We carry on that tradition of free thought today, dedicated to promoting a free search for truth, meaning, and justice. Our web address is firstunitarian.org. I'm David Breeden, Senior Minister. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis on this lovely May morning. Yes, you get the free view out our beautiful window out there, but do try to listen once in a while if you can. First Unitarian Society is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and we are the birthplace of Congregational Humanism. Our programming is on-site live, like now, online live, like now, and on demand 24/7 if you want to check out some other things that have gone on here. I'm David Breeden, I'm the Senior Minister, and Amos Lachidi! Our keyboardist. And yes, we're in for some superior music today. Thank you so much for being with us. If everyone, wherever you are, would turn to your left and right and say, I'm so glad you're here today. Yes, as a humanist congregation, we do not pass the peace, as some of our Christian friends do, when instead we pass the howdy. And that's the way we do it. Welcome here is our practice, hospitality is our goal, and conversation is your gift to the rest of us. Thank you so much for being here today. First Unitarian Society is known in the larger community as a bridge between the religious and the secular worlds, a force for understanding in the diversity of the Twin Cities. Thank you for being with us today.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be back playing some solo pieces for all of you. And I tried to tie these three pieces into the theme of the month, which is pluralism, if I'm not mistaken. And the way I tied them into it, it's by both musical context, but also by the historical context of the pieces. So the first piece that I'm going to play are actually two parts of the first Partita for keyboard by Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. And of course, I think that if we mention the way he writes, which is polyphony, where voices are basically having a conversation with each other, that's pretty much, I think, in music, the definition of pluralism. So. Yes, I'm going to play both the Prelude and the Allemande, yeah, hopefully one day in the future I'll play a recital with all the Partita, and hope you'll be there. Then after that, I'm going to play a piece by Debussy. The title is quite long, but you'll be able to see it there, both in French and English. It translates to the moon that descended on the temple that was. And this is from the collection of Images, Book 2, and as he describes, they're pieces to describe an image. And it's not necessarily something tangible, it can be really subjective, the way to view it. But the interesting thing about this piece is the layering. You will hear many different sounds stacked upon each other, and how Debussy layers each of them with a specific and distinct different color. It's very beautiful. And as a final piece, I will play an Etude Tableau, which again brings us back to the idea of image, by Sergei Rachmaninoff. So there we go, another bit of pluralism, some French and then some Russian. We have a little bit of course, very different languages and cultures, and I hope you'll enjoy all three pieces.
Ah, yes. Isn't it nice to have professional level musicianship on bright and early in the morning? Thank you so much, Amos. Each week when we gather, we repeat one of our 8 UU principles or one of our 4 aspirations. Today, aspiration number 1, we aspire to live joyfully and ethically in loving, reverent relationship with humanity and with nature. Take it away, Mike. Oh, you're going to take it away.
Let's sing. Okay, the first song is number 1017 in your teal songbook. The words will be up there with a little tricky rhythm. So if you stand as you wish or unable.
And if you will please remain standing and repeat with me our congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this place, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated. And let us see here. We have now our new member ceremony. Please, will our new member, or you're going to call them up, Suzanne? We can all come up? Well, come up, everybody. Suzanne is the planner, not me. Fortunately for most things there. Yay, we're glad Suzanne's the planner and not me. Happy.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Suzanne, and I'm honored to be the membership coordinator here at First Unitarian. It's a very exciting day. I get to introduce 3 of our new members here. So I have been very privileged to get to know the 3 of them over many mini meals and events this past winter and spring. And so right here we have closest to me, we have Jason Rogers. And then in the middle we have Karen Hadelstad. And then furthest from me, Andrew Weber. So I very much hope that over the next few weeks and months, you can all get to know them as I have. They all have wonderful enthusiasm that they've displayed, as well as consistency coming to visit. Jason came to FUS as a child and has recently rediscovered our congregation, has become a very regular. Yeah, it's great. Similarly, Andrew and Karen have become consistent visiting us, as well as taking the extra step of participating in our young adult circle suppers this winter, which have been lovely and very tasty. Like I said, this is a big occasion, so one more time, if you can please take a moment to congratulate Jason, Andrew, and Karen as they are formally becoming part of our congregation today.
As we welcome our new members to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, let us begin with these wise words with the Reverend Dr. William Schultz, who was former president of the UUA. He said, "This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands." FUS Board Chair George Hutchinson will now speak with the congregation.
We joyfully welcome you into our congregation and gratefully acknowledge your choice to join us. May you find among us fellowship and help in time of need. We pledge our support and our encouragement as you join us in our search for truth and meaning and our striving towards justice.
We come to this congregation aware of the privileges and responsibilities of membership. We bring our talents and our enthusiasm, our shortcomings and our doubts, our gifts and our hopes. We join this congregation celebrating freedom of conscience and working for justice and peace.
We rejoice in the promise of new connections. May those who share this journey with us always find a loving community here.
Into this community, these new members are now enfolded. May this congregation nurture and challenge them, offering comfort and guidance and calling forth the best within them. May they in turn bring energy, vision, and laughter, that this may become ever more fully the community it strives to be.
Let us now close by reading the Aspirations of First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis together. If you would all stand, please. We aspire to live joyfully and ethically in loving, reverent relationship with humanity and nature. Pursue wisdom through science, art, and the stories of civilizations. Make the change we need for a more just, compassionate, and peaceful world, and support one another's journey toward meaning and connection in the here and now. Join me now in welcoming our newest members. Thank you all so much. Please be seated. As a Congregational Humanist community, we are here for each other, our neighbors, and also our planet. When we gather on Sundays, we take a few moments to reflect on the human experience, the joys, the sorrows, and the milestones. We do this in order to keep in touch with our own humanity and to remind ourselves of the value of a few moments of stillness, breathing together as human beings. This week, a joy, FUS member Ann Beecher, and we didn't put a picture in because we thought you would be here. Ann Beecher. Oh! I'm sorry, I had you pegged over there. Sorry about that. Well, you have a joy to share, which is she was diagnosed with cancer in January. That was not the joyful thing, of course, but she has now completed radiation treatment. No chemotherapy was indicated, and she says, "I'm going to sail on with aggressive monitoring and no further treatment at this time." So, congratulations, Ann. Also, we send love to Cindy Anderson, whose picture is here, but she is also here. Cindy Anderson, yay! Yep, she's here with her daughter in the picture. Cindy fell in early April and broke her ankle. Ouch, I did that once, and yeah, it ain't fun. She's healing well, stitches are out, and she's walking in a cast. Welcome, Cindy. So glad you're up and walking around. And also, she says special thanks to FUS members Amy and Hoyt Dreher, who have brought her here today. Amy, thank you so much for doing that. Yes, it's the little things that matter and helping each other out. Another joy and sorrow. Our Assistant Minister, Rev. Kelly Clement, has been called by unanimous vote to serve as the next Senior Minister of Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames, Iowa. Yeah. So when you get down to Ames, join up with them. Kelly will complete her 9 years of service here at FUS at the end of June, and she'll begin at Ames on August the 1st. And we will have a good goodbye party for her on June 9th. Folks that are planning, thanks a lot for doing that. And be sure that you stop downstairs later and you can send cards and letters to the folks who can't be with us today. We'll now take a moment of silence. Wow. Thank you so much, Amos. As Amos mentioned, our theme for the Merry month of May is pluralism. The term has several meanings in different disciplines, so today I want to look at what's known as values pluralism. And I will claim that values pluralism is an ethical imperative for those of us dedicated to a democratic style society. As I've been writing this week, as most of us have, I've been reading the news, and have mentioned several times from this podium that peaceful civil disobedience is part of our tradition. It is a product of Unitarian thinking. Without a Henry David Thoreau, there could not have been civil disobedience of the style that Martin Luther King practiced. I remember that my oldest daughter, who's almost 40 now, her first trip outside as an infant was to a Divest from Apartheid rally about 40 years ago. And it worked, actually. Divestment from South Africa did lead to, eventually, the retreat of apartheid. Without Henry and our continuing transcendentalist tradition, there could have been no Nelson Mandela either. Peaceful civil disobedience is essential to democracy and values pluralism. The central philosopher of values pluralism is Isaiah Berlin, who you may have heard of, and he very closely read the work of Ralph Waldo Emerson, another connection to the Unitarian tradition. As I was researching online this week, I came across a slide that I found interesting reading. Pluralism, it says, is already becoming the dominant theology of Americans. I like that. Pastors and Christian leaders take note and address the influence of pluralism in our world today, which is what I do intend to talk about today, but I suspect not like our Christian siblings talk about it, which underlines the importance of our liberal religious tradition. We are born into a state, but we're born stateless. We're born religionless. We're born raceless. We're born genderless. Then, family, society, time, the tides, whatever, they intervene into our lives. Then, each of us becomes a citizen or a subject, a bundle of assumptions that we ourselves seldom take the time to examine. Too often during this process, we learn to other, seeing the other as other, seeing others as others that have some kind of loaded meaning to them. And therein lies the challenge for liberal thinking. An ethical challenge that each of us must make. How far does our cooperation with social norms go before we must say, no, I'm not going there? Each of us is born a kind of beautiful chaos, and then society begins to order us, and get us into those various things. And then it's order, chaos. Now let's think about something you don't think about every day, 451 of the Common Era. It's roughly 400 years into the development of Christianity. What met that year was the Council of Chalcedon. In this illustration from the time period, if you look at it, what you see is a society that is not in chaos. It is well ordered. It is patriarchal. Everything is good with this Christianity driving away this chaos. God's intentions and human intentions are in total agreement. Theocracy. From the conclusion of that conference, here's a statement. We all teach harmoniously that he, Jesus, The same perfect in Godhead, the same perfect in manhood, truly God and truly man, the same of a reasonable soul and body. Homoousios, not a word you see all that often. Homoousios with the Father in Godhead, and the same homoousios as in manhood, acknowledged in two natures, without confusion, all right, without change, without division, without separation. Notice what they have in mind. Homoousios, meaning of the same substance with, that's the idea of the Trinity. And the words describe the being of Jesus. But listen to the hope in those words, again, without confusion, without change, without division, without separation. Those Christians had it all figured out until they didn't. Now, how very upsetting that those protesters, those Protestants, upset the perfect arrangement of the best of all possible worlds. Very different fashion sense, as you can see. Very upsetting. Pluralism raised its frightening head, and people could be Christian and still have differing values. Chaos seeping into the cracks. But thanks to those Puritans with male pattern baldness, chaos was driven away and sanity and order returned to this new world until it didn't. Out there in the outback of Kentucky, women, natives, Africans, suddenly they all felt free to speak with what they considered to be the power of the Holy Ghost, as they called it in those days, the Holy Spirit, that gave them the opportunity to talk despite all of the oppression. And thus we see that religion is, yes, a power for order, but it's also been in the background of westernized societies, also an agent of chaos and an agent of change. Women, they even brought dogs, my God. What kind of a church is that? But that's what begins happening in the United States as we celebrate the separation of church and state. Excuse me. Even some might question that God speaks Latin after a while. Maybe he's not Italian after all. Chaos ensues, a chaos of values. What might happen if God slipped out of the hands of the male elite, the European elite, the white elite? What would happen then? Oh my God, chaos! As I see it, we are what happened. We are the most protesting of Protestants, as I say fairly often. There's order, there's chaos, but also there is orderly chaos, isn't there? And that's what democracy is, I think. It's how democracy can happen. Values pluralism. Isaiah Berlin was a 20th century philosopher born in Latvia. As a child, Berlin witnessed the Russian Revolution firsthand. At one point, he was watching out their window, and he saw a man lynched from a lamp post. Now, the family escaped the Russian Revolution and went to England, where Berlin eventually attended Oxford University. Berlin never forgot the potential evil of a mob. He never got the picture out of his mind. He never forgot that deep conviction can get people killed. People die. Berlin defined values as beliefs about how life should be lived. Sounds reasonable. What men and women should do and be. Sounds reasonable. But that's about it. Other than that, you're free to choose as far as Berlin was concerned. One of my insistences is that humanists accept the difficult task of human beings, that human beings are more important than ideas. And I've said this over and over again, but I think it's a good thing to say. It's kind of on that ideal level of love your neighbor as yourself, which ain't happening where I live. But love your neighbor as yourself, and people matter more than ideas. I think these are ideals to pursue. It's a radical statement, yes, but I think it's clarifying if we start from that place. People matter more than ideas. The situation in Gaza, people matter more than ideas, either political ideas or religious ideas. From a humanist perspective, all religions are made up by people. It's people's ideas. Why would we want to kill people for ideas? Homoousis, however, that was a solution from a committee, right? And that's about how much sense the Trinity has made over time, and that's why we have Unitarians. Bloodshed was averted, but the footnote is many volumes long. Human beings are taught insane propositions. Kill each other as we do, whether or not we really believe it even. I'm a Christian, therefore I must do this. But how many millions of Europeans died? Millions of Europeans died in the war between whether or not God's body, Jesus' body and blood, appears in the sacrament. That's insanity, religious insanity. We buy into very human and very flawed ideas, and then we act violently to support them. There is a particular God who gave a particular people a particular piece of real estate. Really? It's laughable, but it's not. Let's ask it another way. Do people deserve to be murdered because they think there is a God who gave them real estate? And I don't really think so. Is murder the way to solve a social situation in which some human beings think that a particular God gave them a particular piece of real estate and other people don't think so? It's a weird reason to kill each other, isn't it? Was it fine for the Russian Bolsheviks to hang a human being from a lamppost because that person believed that the czars should be in charge of the government? People matter more than ideas. Berlin outlined the path to big T truth, and I think it's useful for us to think about that. Number one, the path to big T truth is all genuine questions must have one true answer and one only. All other responses are errors. Two, there must be a dependable path to discovering the true answer to a question which is in principle knowable even if currently unknown. Three, the true answers when found will be compatible with one another, forming a single whole, for one truth cannot be incompatible with another, assuming that the universe is harmonious and coherent, which we have recently discovered it's not. But as many of you remember, I caution against using terms like truth and facts. You have to be careful about those. You don't get to make up facts, right? And think about this. This is Arcturus, right? Arcturus, remember? There are facts about that star that were arrived at by the scientific method. Those are facts. Those are consensus reality, we call it. A reality discovered by the scientific method. And the scientific method says it can't be scientific if it can't be disproven, remember. So that may be wrong. We don't know. But right now, that's what we think about that particular star. But what about the facts of God? Is there one true answer and one only? Well, our Christian friends thought so back in 451. Is there a dependable path to deliver the answer? Old white guys talking, apparently. right? Are all answers compatible? Appears not. Right? Here is where, as Isaiah Berlin knew, things break down. And it's why Christian pastors are being warned to protect their ideas from very simple questions. Yet in the marketplace of ideas, clearly values pluralism is the only way for humanity to survive on a shrinking, warming planet. Values pluralism, but not facts pluralism, and that's the difference between how most of us are thinking and how many others are. Take, for example, flat earthers. What is the number one common factor among flat earth folks? Well, you see this little pie chart down there. The orange, that's the number who have no college at all. The blue is the number of flat earth believers who have gone at least a little college. Lack of education. Can they distinguish between facts and theories? Have they been told the facts of a God out there? And then we go into subjectivity, don't we? Could flat earthers be worked into a killing frenzy? The history of humanity says it might happen, actually. Often I feel that the little child Isaiah Berlin must have often flashed back on that image out his apartment window. Why do people kill each other over ideas? He became obsessed with the question. Why must we kill each other over concepts? Things like politics, economics, real estate, religion. Frankly, I refuse to be a realist about that. Human beings matter more than ideas, even if we have to sometimes bend that around a bit in our mind. As long as there are people, there will be more ideas. We are the idea generators. Don't kill us just because we have one. When conversation breaks down, when discussion breaks down, when reasoning together breaks down, guess what? We don't become animals, actually, because we're already animals. Rather, we join a very small subset of animals that kill without being hungry. Chimpanzees, orca whales, bottlenose dolphins, domesticated cats, a few species of ants, and us. We are the only animals on that list who could conceivably choose not to kill. Conceivably choose not to kill. But what about Ukraine? Well, I know. We have a lot of work to do. This is not an academic exercise. Yet we must remember this. We humans are among the animals that kill without being hungry, yes. That explains mob violence. Yet nation states do not do war based on basic human psychology. A fight in a Quickie Mart parking lot is not the same as operating a missile system. They're different psychologies. Some of us in the room today have faced that difference and faced the have to of the draft. And some of us remember Country Joe and the Fish. 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't tell me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And a lot of us felt that way at one time. But missile systems and fighting in a parking lot are not the same human psychology. And all these years later, aren't too many human beings still missing the irony of that old song that goes, you know that peace can only be won when you blow them all, the kingdom come. That wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. That's never the way to peace, ever. How can we manifest in the nation, the world, the basic idea that human beings matter more than ideas? Actually, we have the tools. Yes, despite all his ethical discussions as a British subject, Isaiah Berlin did fight the Nazis. Sometimes there's no choice. Our humanity fails us, but we must remain realists. We humans have a long way to go, but we do have the tools. Now, one of those tools in Berlin's concept is values pluralism. The concept is very simple. Reality is plural. For many things, especially human values, the subjectivity that gets beaten into our minds, there are many truths. Many of them equally valid in terms of basic humane action. I've talked before about the British moral philosopher Philippa Foot. Moral philosophy directly addresses those questions that Isaiah Berlin asked. Said them before, they're very simple. How life should be lived and what we should be and do. Philippa Foot wrote, "It doesn't matter in the least that there is not an answer to every question." Why bother, right? Irritable reaching, we call it. The idea that because people have different preferences, you can move to the conclusion that there must be a radical breakdown of discussion about good and bad action, that's exactly what I deny and can't let pass. Some people care about art, and some people don't. Some people want public money spent one way, and some people don't. You don't conclude, so subjectivism. It's all just whatever anyone thinks. You cannot conclude, so subjectivism, and she does not. Disagreement does not lead to chaotic freefall. Not if you say that's not where this disagreement's going to go. Our questions to ourselves every day need to be, what does it mean to be an ethical human being in this world today? Not what it meant 1,500 years ago. Because unfortunately, today is not like yesterday. Maybe unfortunately. I don't really know. I think about that a lot as an older person. Also, we need to ask, am I meeting that goal of being an ethical being in this world today? Maybe it was fine yesterday, but time keeps moving. If not, if I'm not that, why am I not? Why am I not living up to my basic decisions about ethics? Why are we in the Unitarian tradition, the Transcendentalist tradition, the Humanist tradition, why are we uniquely qualified to practice and preach a thing called values humanism? Well, because we do know the difference between a fact and a truth. As humanist ministers, we don't wear funny outfits because we're not saying we have anything to offer besides basic human thought. That's all we got. And we're not claiming anything else. In terms of your facts, be careful before you start reading up on flat earth. In terms of truths, dream big. Because all the big dreams are human dreams. Because we know that human subjectivity, the human imagination, is a glorious, ever-blooming Garden of Eden, if you will. May human creativity continue to flow and flow. There is no tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There never was, and there wasn't any serpent. Yet somehow, as Philippa Foot, the philosopher, demonstrated with her trolley problems, in the human imagination and in human intuition, we do have that tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And we do know the difference. We feel it, even when we can't explain it. It's intuitional. It's intuition inside of us. No religions do it. All the religions are too new to have changed anything about the human psyche. It's human intuition that we're nearly all, everybody in the world solves the trolley problems the same way. Why? Human intuition, because we evolved as we did on the savannas of Africa. And that's basically all we've got still, except for our plastic minds that can change the way that we think. Right? The scandal for the conventionally religious is that human morality is so darn consistent worldwide. People are so consistently good without any ideas concerning religions. The transcendentalists in our tradition explicitly added intuition as a way of knowing. A way of knowing. The claim is that we use our intuition, and when we do, we can realize the oneness of everything, of us all. The human mind, all of our sentience, the natural world, and all the sentient beings in it, everything is one. It's not a Taoist or Buddhist weird thought. It's the way it is. How do we adjust? That's what the early humanists realized. We human beings are making it up as we go along. Our gods, our governments, our reasons for killing each other, all human creations that meet human needs. It's all made up. No, it's not always our choice to make. Lynchings do occur in the street, and they will again. We are here to say humanity doesn't have to do that again. That's our job. Humanity does not have to do that again. Thank you.
Our second song speaks the truth, I think. We Would Be One. It's number 318 in the Gray Songbook. The tune comes from the great Finnish composer Jean Sibelius. So after today, you could say you're singing classical music.
Hey! Please be seated.
Good morning. My name is Ann Langard, a longtime member here and currently a member of your Board of Trustees. I also had the privilege of the assignment, I'll call it, of being liaison to the Upper Assembly Hall Task Force that was formed last year at about this time. I want to give you an update on that task force and the work that has been going on. By background, excuse me, a little over a year ago, our hardworking and dedicated congregant, Audrey Kingstrom, approached board chair George Hutchinson to talk about replacing the 73-year-old pews that we're sitting on today with contemporary flexible seating, specifically cushioned wooden chairs and benches. Audrey was expressing a desire that has been percolating at the First Unitarian Society off and on for decades. George encouraged Audrey to take charge of the project, and no surprise, she did. Who better? She needed to assess with a large task force committee whether this congregation wanted this kind of change. She called for volunteers, and this is in probably May or early June a year ago, and 19 people signed up quickly. Many voices, many opinions, lots of history and ideas among a very diverse, good group of folks. They began a months-long process to hear feedback and ideas from our entire congregation. There has been overwhelming support for this project. In February of this year, after reviewing a 12-page report from the Upper Assembly Hall Task Force, the Board of Trustees approved a fundraising campaign of $171,120 to replace seating and flooring in this hall by around January 1. You might think that I'm here today to talk about fundraising. I am, but it will surprise you. The fundraising campaign started on April 1, just 35 days ago. In essentially 1 month, this congregation has pooled its resources and met the fundraising goal. In fact, the goal has been exceeded by about $10,000. It's a beautiful thing. Now, some of you may not have had a chance to support this project. The fundraising moved much more swiftly than any of us anticipated, and everyone is welcome to join in the excitement of refreshing our building. There are other furnishing and flooring needs throughout FUS. If you have visited our library recently, you certainly know what I'm talking about. The kitchen has needs, the chalice room, the list goes on. We have a big year ahead. We've got ministerial candidates and other visitors coming to the building, and we want to be ready. We want to be proud of this unique and beautiful space. So, if you're considering a donation, please continue to do so. Donations to the Upper Assembly Hall so far have ranged from $100 to $25,000. So clearly every gift makes a difference, every gift is welcome. I want to give a little shout out to our own FUS Foundation. They provided $25,000 towards this project. Let's see here. Stop by the office. Originally, when I had asked for time here this Sunday, I did think that I would be talking about specific fundraising for the Upper Assembly Hall renovation. I'm taking the place of what normally does say offering. So with that, don't let it stop you that we've hit goal on our Upper Assembly Hall project. Stop by the office if you're interested in donating to building renovation, other needs in the building, or if you'd like to make a contribution based on our annual giving and your experience here today, this beautiful music and these fine remarks, and we will miss you, David, and your big, big ideas. So before I wrap up, I'd like to ask Audrey to stand, please. She has worked hard with determination and vision around this project. In fact, I'd like to ask all of the task force members who are here today to stand up. Debbie? Hello? So we are still working with a January 1 plan for this entire space, flooring and pews to have been replaced. It could move faster given, again, the generosity and the enthusiasm from this congregation. But for now, we're planning towards January 1. And now I'd like each of you to pat the bench you're sitting on. and say thank you, old friend. You have supported us, you've served us well, but it is time to go.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ann. And what this means, there are two things. One is good planning and great generosity. So thank you all for doing that. One of my dreams in the 10 years I've been here is to get these things replaced, because it's just going to be a whole lot more fun to do things in here when we can move the chairs around, I think. After assembly today, if you're in the building, head downstairs for a conversation and a mini meal. Huevos rancheros with lime crema, cheese quesadillas, black beans, vegetable ratatouille, mixed green salad, and lemon oregano vinaigrette on that salad. Join in a meal and conversation downstairs. At noon today, navigating life post-faith with our own Drew Beck. Yes, Drew. We are very fortunate to have a nationally known humanist leader as a member of our congregation and on our FUS board. Drew is always fascinating to hear what he's thinking and asking. And today it's when belief in a God is gone, life can be thrown into a spin cycle of disorientation and uncertainty. How do you get back into your own comfort zone? And Drew has gone through that himself, as have many of you. Join in the discussion today. Also at noon, laughter yoga. Yes, laughter is excellent for your health, and you can join in at noon today for a half-hour session. And if you paid for it at the auction, yay. Join in. If you didn't, $10 to FUS and join in. And by the way, there's so many things going on around here nowadays. We're putting up a list right outside the door over there so you can find everything. Also, you the vote. Join in our national phone bank of the year, first of the year, calling voters in Georgia. And that's on Sunday at 5. So 5 p.m. today, you can call voters in Georgia. And then, 4 p.m. hour. Oh, and where do they gather since you're?
It's not here, it's online.
There you go. All right, so where will we be looking for that to fix that? The Friday update. Yes, indeed. So you can find out all about that. The FUS Women's Group will meet on May 13th at Martha Hardesty's home. Yes, and so if you are of the female persuasion, join in for hearty salad and bread. And again, Friday email will tell you all about that. Last big thing, because it even has t-shirts, folks. Suzanne has hooked us up, and also the membership team, with Doors Open. Doors Open Minneapolis. It's a citywide event with over 100 venues participating. That's May 18 and 19. Interested in volunteering? We're going to be calling in as many folks as want to stop on by, and we want to be good hosts. If you would like to do that, find Suzanne downstairs, and you too can help out. And as always, you can find out all the cool things going on at FUS by looking online. And as you are walking toward your mini meal, remember you too can sign a couple of different cards from Active Voices. No, not today? Yesterday. Not today. Yesterday. Yesterday, not today? Don't know. Oh, next week. All right, well, you'll have to come back, y'all. All right. If you will join with me in our extinguishing the chalice words. Ready, set. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All of these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again. Wow, beautiful. Go out into the world. Be fearless. Ask questions. Hold on to what is good. Strengthen the weak. Comfort the fearful. Serve the suffering. Do what makes you come alive, because as the great Howard Thurman said, what this world needs is more people who have come alive. Rejoice in the power of the human spirit. So may it be.